Hey guys, welcome back to Say What Reacts. We are back again with part 3.
Part three. I had to take notes.
Yes, guys. I hooked him up. He has an RM. His fave is RM.
Yeah, my favorite is RM.
He hasn't said bias. He's just like, I don't like the word bias,
Yeah, I don't
but
like that shit.
his favorite is RM. So hooked him up with an RM notepad, so he started taking notes on the BU, and I hooked him up with an RM pen. It's it's oh yeah, look at that shit. Oh yeah. So yeah, he's all hooked up to take notes
I am.
for this series. It's perfect.
Yeah, and purple is my favorite color.
Purple is my favorite color.
It was meant to be.
Yeah. And he's got the Hawaiian shirt on.
With a fly ass Hawaiian shirt on.
Anyway, so we've hooked him up to take notes on the series so he can make sure that he is good to. Oh, wait, don't start yet. You calm down. Goodness, it's all wanting to start already. Okay, so yeah, we have, this is part 3. So we have done I Need You. We have done the prologue. We are now on to the Run official MV. This is another long one, 7 minutes, 30 seconds. This is part of the BU, so obviously there's gonna be a little bit extra stuff added to this. So I would just like, I mean, do you want to say anything to begin with? Or?
No, this is very interesting. I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Yeah.
Because I, like, in our last video, I was saying, like, obviously there is a continuity, there is a story that they are telling, but I feel like they're also allowing a lot of space and a lot of grace for us as an audience to kind of like put ourselves in their shoes, and then they are allowing us to put ourselves in this position, not just from their personal what they're presenting in their struggles, but us is what we're going through in our life in real time, as well too. So I feel like that's a very interesting concept and a whole, because art is subjective, but then really giving you that air to breathe,
right, to
really absorb and to also project a little bit.
Yeah, and I like how the way that they present it is just a little bit here, a little bit there, so you can try to like figure out what the next thing's going to be, or what the missing piece of the puzzle is to figure out what's actually going on. But you're not meant to know it all yet. You're not meant to know the whole story yet. But you will, as time goes, you'll get added little bits. I couldn't imagine when this came out 7 years ago, literally having to wait like 6 months or a year before the next thing came out to get the next puzzle piece. I mean, we get the privilege of being able to binge it if we want right now, and just figuring it all out in like a day if we want to.
Right.
But yeah, having to wait so long back in the day, that must have been torture.
But I think it also allows you to kind of like, be present with yourself as well too, because like, even though again we're binging all this in the spaces that they released all this, it allows you to consume the art, reflect on it, and then tap into something in yourself so you can be present, because I feel like that's really prevalent in the presentation of it, is that all these guys in the 2 videos that I've seen so far, they have their problems, they have their issues, and when they're together, but they do take enough time and consideration to show enough breakaway that everybody is present with what they're feeling, even though all the other members at the time of how we're being presented, they may not know what's going on with them personally. So I feel like that is also like a very smart move when it was happening in real time. Give them 6 months to kind of marinate on it, to reflect and connect with yourself, and reflect and connect with us as well too. I think that's really nice.
For sure, I agree with you.
Yeah. But then at the same time,
can't play this song. You haven't heard this song yet, and it's part of the
this shit's intense too, for you to like even to binge and consume it and try to just observing it and not even thinking about yourself personally.
Yeah.
So them allowing you the grace to just be like, hey, why don't you marinate on this for a little bit?
Yeah.
Do some like internal reflection or whatever at the same time was probably a good break at the time. But like we watched 2 videos back to back, and I'm just like, man, this shit's fucking heavy.
It is, and it gets like, it's emotional too. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, it's so good. All right, okay, let's do this, y'all. Let's get this on the screen. Here we go, on the screen, and pause warning above my head. That is because guess what, we might pause and we might talk about things, so pause warning is there. Please don't spoil anything, don't be that person. Let Carlos have the opportunity to try to come up with his own ideas and interpretations and figuring it out on his own, before we get deep enough in the storyline to where he starts really putting the pieces together and understanding it all. So let him have the enjoyment and stuff, just like we all got to experience that as well. All right, so let's click that button and let's do this. The Most Beautiful Moment in Life. That's the series, like the era that they're on.
Right.
Because that showed that to begin with, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life,
yeah.
and I Need You.
Yeah.
And then this is the second one. Like this is like part 2.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Hold on a second.
Yeah. Take your
note.
notes. What you got? Down. What you got?
Well, just in terms of like both of these videos start with V and end with V. Well, I haven't seen the end of this video.
The prologue?
Yeah, the prologue started with him and ended with him to an extent before that cutscene, because they obviously, like you said, they re-released it without that cutscene. At the end. Yeah, at the very end. But that's interesting that we see, to that point, we see V jumping, but he doesn't get into the water. This video starts with him falling backwards into the water.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He's a pretty prominent character considering what he went through.
Yeah, I mean, he committed murder, so it's pretty deep.
It is. That's for sure. That reminds me. I still need to get... Am I missing... Oh, no, I have it. I was thinking I was missing... What am I still missing?
I don't know.
I'm missing one... I'm missing like 1 or 2 albums.
Just for like your personal...
Yeah, because I was thinking the Young Forever album, but I did get the black version, the other version of it. But I thought The Most Beautiful Moment in Life, I'm missing something for that. But maybe I'm not. That's these over here, I believe. Anyway, okay. While you were writing, I was taking a gander at my albums. Okay, anyway.
I'm ready.
All right, let's do this. Let's go. R&B, by the way. Jin. Jin. Sugar. J-Hope. Jimin. J-Hope and Jimin. Sugar. And JK. Oh, what you got right down?
This is like
I could pause. We are only like halfway in.
Right, and it's
there's a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah, there's a lot of things happening, but I feel like this is real. You know, like in terms of like that prologue was kind of like, again, like a disassociative dream state type of feel, something that they all share connected, but like this is like real. This is what they would like, what it means to them, or to V maybe, because V was very predominant. He's the very first character we see in the beginning of the prologue, he's the very last character we see. So like to him and what he's going through, that's like his coping mechanism. He did something very, 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 very tragic, and his life is very tragic. But this one, like, it starts V falling into the water, but it's also like RM kind of borderline vagrant. Like he lives in that little pigeon coop on top of a building somewhere, starting his day and things that.
It's train car.
Yeah. Well, no, he walks to the train car. Because like when he wakes up in the beginning, he comes out there. He's like got his little soda, his little cigarette thing. He puts it in there, and he's walking down the train tracks, throws the drink, and he knocks on the train car.
Wait, hello, where's my mouse? It's train car. Or not train car. What
container.
Is it? Container.
Container,
The shipping container.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he lives in a shipping container.
Right. Which I mean, is that a home?
No.
He occupies.
You did say vagrant. I wanted you to recognize it was a shipping container. Yeah.
So and then he also, it's like preparing himself, like, you know, he's like getting his mental faculties together before he knocks on the train car to start the day. Not even start the day, to even like get involved with everybody else, because he's going through his own shit.
Yeah.
Like, well, they're all going through their own shit, and I feel like, to me so far, this is like a representation of like, this is a look into in real time their relationship in the real world, and you can actually see their traumas out there in effect versus be it internal and external. They're picking fights with each other. They're vandalizing fucking public property, being public nuisances and shit like that, but they are together. So that's something, but again, it's not positive or negative. It's definitely a thing.
Yeah. Here, I'm going to mute this. Let's just talk through what we've seen so far up to this point.
Right.
Okay, so like, what do you think of like what's going on with Jin?
That's the camera guy. This guy right here. Like I said, he's got something so far. There's something missing in his life, and I haven't figured out what that is yet. But him, when he's out with everybody else, he's always capturing the moment, observing the moment, absorbing the moment when he is present. Like so far, and now that I'm glad you brought up Jen all together in this like little sequence, because we also see all the members independently dealing like either like leaving, going to the groups together, having their emotional, but then like there's little moments, if you have a keen eye, when they're in that little party room, when they're kind of partying and running, they do take that time to zoom in and say, hey, like their reality's still there. Like even though this isn't escape, like it's whatever, they're eventually gonna go back to whatever they're dealing with.
Yeah.
And one of those guys, these are the, was that Jimin and JK?
J-Hope. In the hospital room?
Yeah.
Jimin and J-Hope.
Yeah. So they got some, and that was the point when we were talking about like in the bathtub, you were like, when you first saw this, it was like him washing away, but I was like, when I sit in the bathtub a lot, I take baths. It's like, it's a coping mechanism for me. It's able to, like, you feel something and you feel safe in a
the water all around you.
Right. But then it's also like very clean. Generally, I don't want to insult anybody, or
as long as your bathroom's clean.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But generally, it's a very like your bathroom is generally like when you're taking a bath and when you're in, it's a safe space. I should say. I'll just put it like that. Yeah. It's like a safe space to kind of contain your emotions and process your emotions.
Yeah.
And with J-Hope, obviously he's got something going on with him altogether, and I don't know if this is necessarily. I don't know enough about if I can assume that Korea has similar laws that we have here in Florida, like with Baker Act, if you are a danger to yourself or to others. I don't know either, but it's like they met in some type of institution. You know what I mean? In that hospital room all together, and it shows that they have. And from I Need You, they, I don't know if they do. Obviously, for all intents and purposes, that they have something going on emotionally, possibly psychologically, that renders medication or lack of treatment, and they just want to kind of. Like Jim is maybe just trying to raw dog it, just like I want to just cope with this on how it is, because of like what we saw. It's not obvious. Again, it's just my interpretation that.
Yeah, because you didn't think J-Hope was
trying to kill himself.
Trying to kill himself with the pills. You're like, no, he's not trying to kill himself.
Not at all. That was something that's like routine. That's just like I got to take my medication or my happy pills or they're my stabilizer pills or my whatever. That I take these to be normal. But again, it's not, because he takes his medication. He's not regulating it. He finds himself on the street passing out. So it's like it consumes him to the point to where he's not even himself. Like all we saw in that first video is him taking those pills. He didn't eat anything. He didn't drink anything. He had like very light interaction with his friends as well. So like when they're left to their own devices, it's kind of like I feel like these 3 videos are kind of like coming to like full circle, but like working kind of like backwards. We see the worst day of their lives, and then the prologue introduces like.
I mean, it's a prologue, so
yeah, right. And but that prologue
to what
exactly?
Yeah,
and it's for who specifically. But now we're also kind of seeing we have an idea of how they see themselves ideally in a perfect world, or what they lack, be it in family, friends, or confidence in themselves, or belief in themselves. In that prologue, it shows that together that they are able to fill those voids and gaps in a healthy manner.
Yeah.
Because they're hanging out, they're doing cool things, they're not breaking the law, they're not, under any distress.
Prologue at least.
Right, in the prologue, but in this,
not in this one.
This is like a more realistic aspect of this is a culmination of their friendship through their trauma that they bonded, and through their actions, even the beef between themselves.
And you don't think they could both be real?
I feel like this ultimately, because it shows so much dynamic of every individual, and they really do a good job of like pinpointing and honing in and putting on a focus on every individual at this point in time. All this,
that's why this feels more real. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. And it's doing a good job of, as a whole, of just like, shit's still fucked.
Painting the picture.
Of their relationship, and it's still fun. They're still having a good time, and they are establishing their bonds with each other. Are they doing it in the most healthy ways? No, but they're also teenage boys.
Let's play it a little bit more. Got whacked in the face with that pillow. So Jimin and J-Hope again. Yeah. Which were just in the hospital room.
Right.
And what do you think of this, where Suga's just starting to just kind of lose it and freak out, and then JK?
Yeah. And I think they both have some form of the similar type of neglect. Not like V's neglect and abuse. Theirs is like very independent, and they're fighters. Mm-hmm. And they bond in that, but they don't want to. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things of like, hey man, and that's kind of like a super empathetic way.
What do you think of this stuff too?
With the imagery with the House of Cards and shit like that.
Yeah, and then like V turning when that moment's happening, and then just that whole. Anyway, continue.
I think like a lot of these things in there, if it's like with this, the dynamic between these two guys, obviously they share something similar and they cope with it differently. Someone that's very empathetic is like, he's fighting in the aspect of like, if you're gonna fight and kind of self-destruct, point that towards me, because I'd much rather take the brunt of your pain and your fury.
JK.
JK, rather than you do it to yourself and you destroy yourself. But also like a level of accountability as like a young person would be, because it's just like, don't do it covertly. Like, I know that you got some things going on, I got some things going on too, and if it's as simple as we can just duke it out and hash it out like this, it can be like that. And I think that's where it kind of changes. Yeah, because it's
not that simple.
It's not that simple,
and that's why it changed. Yeah.
Right. And he's realizing that. It's just like JK, right? JK's realizing that it's his trauma is different. His grief is different, even though they may express it similarly. And as much as he wants to be comforting there, even if it literally is being a punching bag to antagonize you, to where it's like, if you just need to blow off some steam, we can do that. And then this change of just like, it's not just that. Yeah. It's not just like boy problems or like school problems. Like, I'm fucked. I got some fucked up shit going on, and him being and seeing this is just like, okay. Yeah. This is bigger than what I understand, but similar. It's very empathetic, and I understand that.
Okay, and then let's just go a little bit to this moment here.
Which one's this one?
Jin. Flowers and the flowers and
the flowers and the reflection before the mirror broke. Mm-hmm. And again, he observes a lot. Mm-hmm. You know, and I feel like he's missing.
He's hard.
Yeah,
he's hard to pinpoint. And even you're like, I'm not really sure what's going on with him yet.
I know he's missing something in his life, because along with those flowers, he had that picture of a family in that very first video, and when he was in that apartment, because remember, stuff was also projected on him. With the flowers and stuff like that. But there was also he had like a family picture in one of those scenes, like when he's sitting there.
Oh, okay.
It's in his hands, and then when they come back, he's like, when he's full standing up in the room, he's got the petals in his hand, and they drop. So, and that's what I feel like he's lacking something. I just don't know what he's lacking. I know it's a very important relationship to him that he did have at one point in time. So again, I don't know if it's his family. I don't know if it's a romantic thing. because in the very and I Need You, it kind of painted it out as like
Maybe
heartbreak.
it's all of everything.
All of
Who
everything,
knows?
for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. But I've also been in this place too, to where you're just super apathetic. Like, you know, he's not sad, he's not upset, he's definitely present and observing, but it's just like
He can't. He feels he can't do anything. Maybe.
well, is he consciously making a decision? What is he drinking? Is he sedating himself? Does he feel so overwhelmed because of maybe that loss that he had before, of whatever he's missing in his life? And it's through this chaos he's kind of having like this moment right here. Is it to him to where it's just like I'm glad to be here and enjoy it while it is, because my friends might be gone tomorrow, because we don't know the context of this fight that they're having, because right before this scene they're having a good time, pillow fight and everything's cool, then it's starting to get violent, shit's starting to get broken,
Yeah.
you know. So it's just one of those things of this looks like to me of like having a moment of like disassociation, like are my friends going to go away, is this real? You know, is it the family that I have and stuff like that? And what's he drinking? I don't know. He could be faded. He could be self-medicating in whatever way in this particular junction in his life. But I don't know what he's lost, but he's lost something. And that's just something like, am I going to lose this too?
Okay.
In this whirlwind of chaos.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I can turn that.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
we're about caught up.
Yeah.
Some iconic hair in this one, man. Jimin, JK, Shin. Hooligans.
Yeah.
Fun fact. So obviously this is early in their career, so they don't have a lot of money and stuff.
Right.
Whose
truck is that?
It's one of the like producers or staff members or something.
Yeah. Somebody that works.
Yeah.
Who had like a legit job.
Yeah.
Like on the side, like I work construction and shit. Yeah, you can use my truck.
That's their truck, and then the rest of the people were just like staff members.
Right.
Yeah. So, let me get my
Yeah.
notes. Okay, so what you taking notes on?
Well, like with V particularly, like with everything that's going on again, like in their own individual lives, like even all this like rambunction that they're running and the shenanigans and fuckery that they're they're unleashing on their poor town. But like him in that water, like getting it's like deeper. So even though all these things outside are going good, like whatever he's dealing with, and then also or alluding back to the first video as well too, like with everything that's happened, like again, like not necessarily like prequel or timeline. I think we're just being presented with points of their life, not in exact any particular order, but we're just seeing more dynamic. We're seeing more range and more depth of who they are as individuals, and to say that how they take a lot of care and consideration of showing those little intimate moments of focusing on every member at some point in time in the video, in the beginning, in the middle, in the end of like what they're dealing with, even as they're observing their camaraderie and their connection and the community that they built with each other, that they're still dealing with their own personal things, and cutting back to V as kind of like he did the most, obviously the most, you know, terrible thing of everything that led by all their individual actions, but also represents like he went the farthest when we were introduced to them, and also that consequence, and not necessarily like that grief is what's weighing on him, because this is, I'm imagining, takes place before the very first BU video and I Need You, but also is this just like a good representation of using him as a proxy of no matter what's going on with all of them, they're getting deeper in their own kind of like loneliness and their own grief and their own trauma, and it's just being represented because we know how it all ends out for that particular instance in their life, and we're now starting to kind of like get more.
So you think Run is also a prequel to I Need You?
I think it's all. I think so. Yeah, but at the same time, I think these are multiple events, so it's not just like, you know, these are the years that they've bonded together and the growth that they've
We're just
had.
getting a peek into multiple things.
And multiple things, and seeing that, because they also do it where it's like they group off. You know, we'll see 2 or 3 of them together,
right,
and we'll see them all together. We'll see some people, you know, fighting amongst each other. We'll see them breaking laws, just a couple of them, and then they all do it together. So it's kind of like we're building kind of like this connection and this bond that they all collectively share. But we can see that it is something that's independent through the video so far. That there are moments where every member, there is relationships between them all, but we can see that their bonds are also different.
You're right.
Between those, like some of them have their trauma and grief is how they bond.
Yeah.
Or not necessarily having an outlet, or
which is like JK and Sugar.
Yeah, JK and Sugar.
Yeah.
And Jimin and J Hope. You know, they have something that's going on, and then you got like RM, like I said, like
RM and V with the
going out doing the graffiti and stuff like that. But even like RM too, like RM is like the big brother, but also like the most responsible. Like he has to make it himself in the world. Like he has to provide for himself, and like with the cigarettes and having the job and kind of having like the blasé attitude towards his job and his lot in life, he's also, you know, it's one of those things that he doesn't retaliate in any type of discourse or violence or any yet. You know, he's actually looking forward to, but then again, I made the point when he was walking from his home down the train tracks, he had to like prepare himself, you know, because I think that he's cognizant and conscious enough that these kids have it worse than I do. Like we all got it bad, but some of these guys have it worse than I do, and it's a lot. It's a lot to see people that you care about struggle, and it's a lot when you're a young person trying to figure out, why do I feel this way? Because a lot of times, you know, when you're young, there is a level of naivete and innocence, as well as ignorance, as you start to get older, to the point to where like when you're trying to figure out it's just difficult enough to figure out who you are in the world in the scheme of things. But then when there's things that are out of control, when you're supposed to have family and friends and a support group to provide protection, security, support for you, and it's not there, and you have to fill in those roles and bridge those gaps in your life. It's very traumatic.
Wayne.
Yeah. And I feel like RM's perspective and how he's presented to it, like in this video, not that it's a burden for him, but it's also one of those things that he has to prepare himself, because he himself has already made a lot of decisions for who he is, because he works, he's smoking cigarettes. I don't know if he's old enough to smoke, even if that's a big deal or not, but having young people go through like such traumatic weighing problems at such a young age is it's very difficult to digest when it's happening to you. And you try to cope with it in so many ways, and I know that from like my personal experience of dealing with things like that. So that's why I was saying before, like, there's very specific stories that they're telling that everybody can connect to on a level, but like I connect to this on a level like very personally, and it's like I know how I felt at that age, because I was around that age when that shit was happening to me too. So I get it.
Yeah. I think that's why people love this because obviously we know that this is, you know, fiction for them. But it's also there are still little things that could be real life for them in little ways here and there too. Sure. And for many others, you know. So I think that's why a lot of people just really, really like this. What did you find? Did you find anything interesting about this whole thing?
Yeah, because this is Jimin's bathroom where he finds his solace when he's by himself, and again, like, they have a bond together. Yeah. But again, like that disassociation, that safe space, because this room looks completely different.
Yeah.
Than it did when we first saw it, and I Need You.
And it was just stark.
It was just
nothing.
Yeah, it was
stark white nothing.
And it was cold, and there was nothing, you know, and he was holding on to something. But then it ends with him in this burning a memory as well too.
Well, it ends the way he started, doesn't it? Isn't this how I Need You started for him?
For him, yeah.
So this ends where I Need You started.
Right. And I feel like this is where we're starting to kind of get into like that time jumpy thing of bringing a clear and concise story of what happened, because we were just shown the end.
Yeah.
We're on some Quentin Tarantino shit. With I Need You, we see the end. We see what happens at the end, and now we're starting to kind of intertwine on levels and how we're bringing it back to that moment. Because at this point in their lives, not BTS obviously, but in the BU for our main characters here, the very first video is the worst time of their life. On an existential aspect, like RM just giving up. Like, fuck this. Like, for real. Like, this job is not for me. But he also believes that is all he had. And now he's to the point to where he's at rock bottom. And he's like, I'm willing to take my chances now. Like, I'm going to walk away from this shit and we'll see what happens. And everyone's dealing with their own things and how their perception of themselves as individuals, their perceptions of their brothers together. So, I like how we're getting a little bit more nuanced into leading back to I Need You.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of, I think that's pretty much, I love seeing all the little kind of behind the scenes.
Right, yeah.
I love that. And then, what about this?
Is that ultimately the picture?
Well, that was them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take a close look. That was them.
Yeah.
What's different?
They're missing somebody.
Do you know who it is?
I can't tell who that is.
Jin.
Okay.
The flowers, the
camera.
Yeah.
Well, he's probably taking the picture, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But then when Jin looked at the other picture, who was missing in that picture with him?
Sugar, it was just him there.
Yeah.
Sugar wasn't there.
Right.
Even though someone else took that picture of the both of them.
Right.
So what do you think, what's going on with that?
Well, I feel like, again, like Jin's capturing that moment.
Okay, so you don't think there's anything crazy. It's just Jin's the one that always has the camera, so he's most likely the one that took this picture.
Well, not that he always has the camera, but again, like when Jin was kind of like disassociating when Sugar and Jimin were fighting? Who was fighting?
Sugar and JK.
Sugar and JK were fighting, and it pans to him after the mirror breaks, and he's looking in the
house
mirror.
of cards falls.
But he's kind of having like, he's disassociating. Like shit is like, I'm overstimulated, I'm overwhelmed emotionally,
So he's in his head.
He's in his head at that point in time, but this is like, I can remember this moment. This is what I want to remember.
Okay.
This is what I want to hang on to when I start getting into these weird places. Mm-hmm. Because again, like, he's drinking. We don't know what they're drinking. And I'm not implying that they're alcoholics and they're using drugs, but I feel like that alludes to like self-medication to some point in time.
I mean, they were like partying.
Yeah, they were partying.
It makes it seem like they were drinking. But,
well, they got out of pocket. They got a little handsy. They got a little rough with each other. Yeah. And I think that Jim wasn't ready for that at that point in time. So he just kind of like just stepped out. He checked out in that moment. But to end the night, to if I'm going to remember this night, how do I want to remember it with us together?
What about this?
With the cards, with the ace of clubs. And a black butterfly.
And we've been hearing the song Butterfly a lot.
Yeah. And then but again, butterflies, you hate them. I don't know why.
I don't hate them. Caitlin hates them.
Yeah.
I love butterflies.
I love butterflies as well too. And obviously like their symbolism. You start as a Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn. You start as a caterpillar and you go through a metamorphosis and you're broken. Well, caterpillars are like broken down to nothing. And then they come back together in their chrysalis as butterflies. In the great metamorphosis, they're changing what they are. And having a black butterfly, specifically on the ace of clubs, because clubs generally is like, a melee weapon, brute force. So it's like, it's not the ace of hearts, know? Because that butterfly could have been on any suit.
Clubs is like fighting almost like,
Yeah, well, and it's brutal, if anything, and going through a metamorphosis like what these young boys are going through on this journey of their life, where they're transitioning what they're trying to ignore, what they're coping with, where they want to be in life altogether. But when it all came down after he threw the chair and everything was broken down and the house of cards came tumbling down, through all the chaos and all the debris and all through the fray, he pulls out the butterfly. That through a hard, beautiful struggle, we can still come out the other side.
I like that. Okay. All right. Anything else that you want to add to this video?
No.
Before we
I don't want to try to like think too much into it.
Because that there's a lot of pieces missing.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. There is. And there's a lot of things that just shouldn't be thought about. I think you just experience it. You just experience for what it is, and you can fill in the gap for how this speaks to you, or you can just keep mental note. Of why is this being presented to us.
Right. Okay, well, on to the next one. We're filming a bunch today,
so. This is good.
But please don't spoil anything down in the comments. Not just because we don't know by the time you see this where he is at in the storyline, and just don't be that person to spoil it, because you don't want to spoil it for someone else to have that moment of the aha moment later. Also, you don't know who's reading the comments. You might be spoiling it for someone else who hasn't gotten that far into the story either. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts on his interpretations and what he is seeing and thinking and reading into everything so far. Do you think he's on the right track? This is so freaking fun for me.
Yeah, man. I'm having a great time.
Yeah, it's I just really, really enjoy hearing your interpretations on things, because it also, obviously, I've reacted to the storyline twice now.
Right.
But I'm still like the Ace of Clubs thing. I've never looked at the clubs that way. Like I'm like, oh, interesting. Never. Yeah. I mean, I never thought, why a clubs?
Right.
Why not hearts or diamonds? I've never thought about that before. Or spades, if they wanted it to be black, why not spades? Right. I never really thought about the fact that it was a club, and a club could be a violent weapon. Yeah. And it's blunt. It's not an easy weapon either. It's gonna hurt.
Right.
It's gonna take a while before you beat someone down with that thing.
And it's heavy. It's heavy to carry too.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way. Yeah. So I've always liked reacting to storyline things with you, because I feel like even though I've reacted to the storyline twice, that's little things that you will mention. I'm like, never thought about that before.
Right.
This is really fun.
But. And again, don't take it the wrong way. I'm getting a lot of the same, when we watch the DPR Ian thing.
Yeah.
Again, it's triggering, but not in a bad way.
But also, I don't think quite as bad as the DPR Ian.
No. But there's a lot going on. So with DPR Ian specifically, that's an individual. He's open, he's transparent about it.
Yeah.
What he is really, really, really
it's about him. It's about actually him. In real life, not a story. So there's a bit of a...
Yeah, and he's able to very well... he's very accurately to depict moments of dread and moments of super high anxiety and distress very well.
Yeah, very well.
Very well. He does that very well. But this, to me, is because, like, to your point, even though this is like
a story,
but it's heavily based in reality, and it's very close to my reality of how I grew up and what I've gone through.
Yeah.
So it's deep.
It's very deep.
Yeah, it's deep.
Yeah, it is very deep. And it just gets deeper, y'all. So let's continue on this this journey. Please, please, please like, comment, and subscribe. I would very, very much appreciate to hear your thoughts on this and what the storyline means to you. Anything that you want to tell us, that would be wonderful to read. He reads the comments all the time, so he'll definitely be looking forward to see what you guys have to say. Just please no spoils. And yeah, that's it, guys. We will see you guys in the next video. Bye.